So, this whole new Raw thing going to 2 hours. It's a bad idea. Now, it is supposed to be only until the end of 2025, and we'll see how Netflix goes. You know, that could stay 2 hours. That could be at 3 hours. I was like, it still seems like nobody truly knows. Maybe they just run it, and however long it takes, you know, just because, hey, they're a streaming platform. That's why I will say that it being a platform that's not on actual TV, that I'm like, that seemed like even better 3 hours, because there's nothing beholden to you, because you can do whatever you want to. I'm already here. I'm already watching 3 hours anyway on regular TV, so streaming's not going to matter. You might actually give me more bang for my buck that I actually could watch it on streaming being 3 hours than watching it on TV, just because I'm like, I know I'm paying for this package over here, give me my 3 hours or whatever. But besides the whole thing, I do kind of really think that this is was reporting that it was either on Peacock for 3 hours, but Peacock got no money, or 2 hours USA, and they got like 25 million. Take the money, of course. Hey, look, that goes to paying people and paying things and paying stuff, whatever, and lining everybody's pockets in some form or fashion. So whatever, understandable. But I do also think that while maybe if USA made this a particular reason or whatever, and it wasn't WWE, that I still think it's a trial run. It still is something to see how everybody's going to react, how the numbers are going to look and stuff like that. And I don't really, to be honest, I was like, they always said like it being 3 hours, that third hour always brought the viewership and the amount down, because I guess people bailed out by the 3 hour. Now it's interesting. I know that's always been a thing for a long time, but also the 3 hours since we've been basically underneath trips hasn't felt the same 3 hours as it was against Vince. So therefore, do people mind that much? I really don't think so. I was like, Raw has been the better program with 3 hours than SmackDown has been with 2. Sometimes that's creative, of course, you know, because I was like, what they do on SmackDown is kind of like, in some cases, but sometimes what they do on Raw is way better. You know, here they're like the Cody bloodline story, it's kind of just meandering, while the Judgment Day is over here flourishing. Doing something with their champions in general, where it was Cody, Logan Paul, and now LA Knight, and the competitors for that, versus over here where it's like, even though Gunther had the championship for a long time, a whole bunch of people there, Sammy having it for a minute, even though Chad was most time the person, and even Braun now is a lot more interesting. You know what I'm saying? So I will say, to me, the only difference is, I think while Raw is doing a lot of things with the women, I think SmackDown is better doing stuff with the women, even though they have their faults as well. But that being said, it's like, you would think that 3 hours you're sort of just like Peter patting your feet and stuff like that, trying to get to like the main event and how to start off and stuff like that. Whereas, like, you know, SmackDown, you would think with 2 hours could get right down to the nitty-gritty, when sometimes like they don't. So it will be interesting to see the viewership, just because I don't know how much of an impact it's going to really be. As like, I think it might look good, because the number might look good, just because it's like, 2 hours, I'm here for 2 hours compared to 3 hours. Whether it's good or not, time length is a difference here, where it's like, you got 2 hours on your hand maybe then compared to 3 hours. I was like, the 2 hours they could probably just bam things. Then the 3 hours where you're just like, all right, piss break, you know, that kind of thing. So I don't even think the number will change. I don't even think that necessarily the fans will bother any of them. But for the main point of why I think in the long run it can be bad, and that's where the fans come in, is of what everything that you'll cut from it. Because even though 3 hours of Raw seem like there's a lot of things, that even though some of these things might not be working over here, it is getting time to get played out, to see where it goes, and actually have a chance to breathe. And even though a lot of the fans, I was like, some of them could be fickle, but I was like, depending on where you're at on the internet, that's with anything. And I was like, sometimes you just gotta know those are extreme people. But I was like, most people, and I think, will be like, okay, let's see how long this goes. Let's see how this breathes. Especially because we know that Triple H like to let shit linger and be long, write out processes and stuff like that, and the details and the whole thing, and all this is all that stuff. That's like, oh, okay, cool. We don't have to be like, oh, 3 weeks and it might be done or whatever. We're actually like, oh, it could be some months here. So with that, think about all the stuff that could get cut, that even if maybe people aren't liking it, you will notice it in a way that will have you feeling longing for it in a sense. So like Judgment Day, not gonna get cut. Rhea and all that, nope. Let's see. I was like, Gunther, no. Braun, no championship. Jay, no, and he's tied up in the main stuff anyway. What we're talking about here is things like, hey, that Rey Mysterio, Finn Balor. I was like, yes, it was part of Judgment Day, but I was like with Finn Balor and Rey, but I was like, now it might be maybe it's another tag match again, just because like we don't have time to do a singles match. Let's just group it together if we're gonna do it to prove our point. The Pure Fusion Collective, how yes, they're not everyone's, but I was like, they're still like finding their way, but at the same time, they are getting booed now. They was for a while, it was nothing. Now they're at least getting booed to where it's like, okay, at least we're working with something here. We got something. They might get cut. Cause I was like, you're not. Cause I was like, listen, we already only get like 2 women's matches, and I understand how talking about the women's matches and things like that could be a thing. Just because I was like, there's different points that you want to look if you want to look at it, but the basis is that even if you don't really like it, it is necessary, or it is a progression to something. And guess what? We only really have 2. Now that's really down to 1, and we're already kind of doing like bunching them together type of thing. So it's like Pure Future Collective, you got Damage Control and what they're doing, Unholy Union if they stay around or whatever, Zelina, Lyra, the Party Girls once they come back. Like there is a group of women that is like, are you just gonna keep them in a pile now? We're just piling them together every time instead of having some segments. Yet alone if Jade and Bianca come through and it's just them, Damage Control is gonna, even though they're weakened right now, they need segments. So it's like, what do you do? Like, how much would you already cutting a lot of the women's out? So what are you gonna cut out them more? Like, how are you gonna do that there? How are acts like Pure Future Collective gonna get over if they don't ever have the time or whatever? Like those matches we get where it was like it's a Zelina, like this Zelina is over, even if some of the matches may be like a little dead. And I was like, that's and sometimes that's just participants more so than anything. Cause like some I was like I sometimes feel like I'm like they don't let Shayna wrestle how she used to in NXT. Maybe she doesn't do it like that anymore, or whatever. But there's no point in doing single matches. I was like, some going to have to give. Gunther, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. None of them, one of them is not going to relieve. We're doing the Braun and the Bronsonreed and the Braun Strowman thing. Like that segment, like you're gonna have to figure out time for that. And it's not like these things can't happen. It's just that, and it's like maybe they do work where it's all fast paced, but something's going to give. It's almost going to feel like when NXT used to be 1 hour back in the day, where it was like this week it'd be something, and unless it was a big plot point, you wouldn't hear nothing about it the next week, because the next week you had to do something else, and then you might go back to maybe joining some mix of those two or whatever. Then you got Takeover some in that time. I was like. And to be honest, I was like, yeah, I know the creative for SmackDown is different by the head person over there, but you do sort of feel like it's like, how are they trying to get people and do their things at the same time when it's like with only 2 hours? Like we want to see Bloodline be more expanded so that I feel like you can get a connection to it, but you kind of can't do that in a shorter segment, but also figuring out what you need to do here and there. Like I said, might be a little more creative. Nobody knows. The Final Testament, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods stuff. And yes, the stuff the Odyssey Jones take a lot of that out. But that build up, while it was like, meh, it was sometimes alright, then sometimes it's like, okay, we're doing too much when it is over. The plot point of having the thing with Xavier Woods, I was like, that eventually got over. Odyssey Jones did get over until his incident. Like, so it was like things like that just popped. Well, it's going to be gone. And the reason I say that, and this is why I think it's a bad move, is that you already have people with a 3-hour show, that's like why I'm not really doing anything. Like I was like, there was like something with Tegan Knox a while back that she tweeted out, and while you might be like Tegan Knox blah 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 with it, I'm like, yeah, but this is a person that last year at this time was actually being featured a lot in a way, and then has just sort of just disappeared, especially with her and Natalya just disbanding or whatever. And it's like you could have something with her, but you already got jam packed of these main storyline. Then you over here trying to build up these while maintaining this storyline. That is like, she ain't got no spot. But I was like, hey, with 3 hours, you're getting on other people. That's like, hey, at least these people are doing their thing. Now you're gonna cut that all out. So now you're just gonna go back to so many people being in catering, and that's why I said for a couple months this might work and it might be fine. But fans already, like the extreme people already get loud over some bullshit about like the main people or whatever. Now when people start being like, oh, because the thing is that for all that Triple H has done, it also makes them underneath the microscope just as much, because we're like, you're supposed to be better than Vince, different than Vince, and all these things, and you're over here doing some of the same thing where you're just running the same people. And I was like, and that's why I said, I was like, you could say Tegan Knox now, you could say, you could say like maybe Zelina or something like that. You just like, you could say these people now. And then when it started being like more people where it's like, oh, we're not getting that pop, or why they over here not finishing up this storyline or this segment or whatever like that. That's why I think it might come in trouble of the fans realizing that difference. And I'm talking about like the actual fan where it's just like, yo, I thought they just dropped the storyline out of nowhere. Like, what's going on? Like, we're not gonna do anything with that. Like on Raw this past week, Karen Cross was talking to The Miz, and then Xavier Wood comes in and like, it's like, hey, you're doing this stick again. Why are you still doing a blah blah blah? And it's like they still acknowledge it. It's not dropped. I was like, so it's still whatever. It might be linger with the Kofi Kingston and the Xavier Woods thing, the Karen Cross. While they're not beefing anymore, he is still also doing his thing. And while you say like, oh, we could just lose that, it's like, okay, cool. And then it's like, but till that's like, yeah, but like losing things like that is like whatever. Like, and it's like, this is not just wrestling, but there's a lot of things in the world that's like, you say that now because you're like, we don't need it, but you don't realize that's a trickling down effect. That once they realize, we could just take that and y'all don't mind, it does trickle down to other spots and other people to where it's just like, oh, it's just the same big time people. And that's sort of what Vince was doing, where it's like, you don't really care about any of these things. I need the big time people. So rinse and repeat, top people. Say that like 5 times fast. I don't know. Maybe it's the way I'm looking at it, where I'm just like, I like the fact that I was like even though I complain about American Made and Alpha Academy having their several beefs, I do like the fact that Alpha Academy is on screen doing matching. Magazine is able to get a shot. American Made is able to be over here doing stuff and stuff like that. I did like the Karrion Kross Eternal Testament Newsday thing. I thought some of that stuff is just because it's so slow paced, more so than it's bad. And that's where I was like, that might be the stuff that we get cut out to where it's just like, and hey, maybe some of y'all want it where it's just like on this fast paced YouTube short TikTok type of shit. And I was like, that's cool. I was like, I don't always just need just like fast paced adrenaline type of stuff. I was like, I don't want you to have it at the snail pace of a snail. Man, then I just make that like a palindrome, snail pace of a snail. Yeah, something like that. But I was like, but I also like that fact that we could do some R-Truth segments in here. The Miz having his crisis right now. I was like, the Wyatt Six stuff in the background while we're over here seeing what's going on. Pure Fusion Collective being built up and being into something. Zelina, I haven't heard that. I was like, these things, I'm like, it's vital to the ecosystem of it all. It makes it all feel flowy instead of just segment. I was like, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, final type of stuff. But anyway, that is my thoughts. We'll see how this all goes when it officially starts. yeah, I was like, look, y'all already been watching for 3 hours, and I was like, 2 hours may feel bad. I was like, I'm fine with it either way. But until next time, we'll see how it goes. Peace. I'm out.